Here we are. We are back again. This is part two of our mock draft on the NFL Cymru podcast. Welcome back. Apologies, we did say that we were going to do this sooner over the weekend. However, that is my fault, and I was working away. But anyway, we're here. We are T-minus 2 days out of the 2025 NFL draft. So things are spicing up. Seems like, no crazy moves, no crazy trade ups. I doubt anything crazy is going to happen between now and Thursday evening. We're pretty much set that the Tennessee Titans are basically on the clock and they're going to be ready and going to be picking the number one pick in around 48 hours ish or a little bit more time than that. Anyway, for those of you who watched part one, picks 1 to 16. Thank you very much and welcome back. We're going to finish the first round 17 to 32 minus the 5-minute Miami Dolphins rant at the beginning. So this might be a shorter episode. Gobeithio. Anyway, as always, welcome to our legendary panel. Guto Williams, Ioan Furnham is back as well, fresh off the field, fresh off a dub. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, quick 8-0 dub. It was a brilliant way to start the season. A great performance for the boys, especially from our defense. Offense, we wishing that we could have put a few more points on the board, but you always do when you're playing offense, and when it's a tight game, you can do nothing but respect your opponent, respect to Bournemouth. It was a great game. I'm looking forward to playing them again later this season.
Sweet. So that was the Ioan started for the South Wales Warriors for the first time in a year. Ioan?
In a year, it's a start that was not expected. I was told 20 minutes before kickoff, so but I welcomed it. I was any more playing time. It was just great. It was just lovely being back. I was put up against a great player in Joe White, who's always been a thorn in my backside for my time on the Swansea Titans. Always a great opponent. So I was very happy to be back and very happy to start the season with a win on the road to Somerset next week.
Nice. On to the next. So you're officially 1-0. That's all that counts. Fantastic. Just before we go into the draft, guys, some notable retirements that we have to talk about before we go into, and I know Ioan definitely wants to talk about this individual. I don't know if he's a future Hall of Famer. He might be. I'm not sure if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's a seasoned pro, multiple Pro Bowls, all-proer, the former New Orleans Saints offensive lineman Ryan Ramczyk has decided to call it quits because he hasn't played, Ioan, if I'm right, since 2023.
Yeah, unfortunately, he has been plagued with a lot of injuries towards the end of the season, which is something you hate to see. Not offensive lineman that's been so dominant for the Saints over the last few years. But yeah, it's sometimes you just got to make those tough decisions. I'd argue, I think his All-Pro shouts will get him far enough to be. He may not be first ballot, but he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. When he's been healthy, he's always started being there. And I'd say he's been the only long-term option on the Saints offensive line for quite a while, guarding the likes of Drew Brees, Jameis Winston, and Derek Carr right through his career. So witnessing the sort of arc of Drew Brees' career, moving on to the new era that is currently in the new era. Whether that's good or bad, we do not know. We are yet to see. But yeah, unfortunately, they have lost a big piece there, and sad to see him go.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I remember when they had Ramczyk and I mean, we were talking about it just before coming online. Actually, another former New Orleans Saint legend. Turned Dolphin legend, Teron Armstead, he retired last week as well. So they had one time with Drew Brees, they had a beast of a line. Teron on the left and Ryan Ramczyk on the right as well. So yeah, two legends of the game leaving. One obviously injury based, like you said, Ryan Ramczyk. Teron Armstead, he'd been in the league for 12 years. He'd struggled with staying healthy. He did play 10 games for the Dolphins last year, but we drafted his equivalent basically in last year's draft, so he's down to Patrick Paul to do his thing, and let's see if the Dolphins will be plagued with their O-line for the next decade as they have been for the last 20. But there we are. Anyway, Guto, Ioan, are we ready to go? Pick 70 to 32?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Sweet.
Hopefully there's no more controversy this time.
Well, listen, there's
But
always going to be something, isn't there? I
I
mean,
got
listen.
slandered in the last episode by you guys, I think, so hopefully we'll
Oh,
have a nice
yeah.
little
Oh no,
smooth little part 2 coming up, so
Here
yeah,
we go.
let's go.
Okay, so just a reminder, Arizona at the moment are picking 16th. So we've done that. Okay, so we resume second part of the draft. Straight into it. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, number 17, pick 17. Um, I well, let's be honest. The Bengals have probably one of the most forceful offenses in the NFL when everyone is fit, especially now that they've signed their two-star wide receivers. How they've been able to manipulate the cap and what that means for them long term, having Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins on max contracts. I don't know how that's going to handcuff them. I think we talked about that, Guto, a couple of weeks ago. But anyway, they need some help with their defense badly. So I've gone with an edge defender. I've gone for Michael Williams, out of Georgia, 6'5", 260. He's a defensive end. And again, obviously, Cincinnati have lost Sam Hubbard as well. He was a legend for them. We don't really know what's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson. Looks like he's going to kind of potentially go back to play with the Bengals. Although he's unhappy, he wants to be paid, and he completely deserves to be. But yeah, we definitely Cincinnati need an edge defender. I could have gone cornerback here. I was really tempted to go cornerback, but I'm going to save my cornerbacks till later. Get on.
Cool. So I agree with you. They need to do some work on their defense. I've actually started off with a linebacker personally. From Alabama. I've gone with Jihad Campbell as for the Bengals at number 17. Offensively they're brilliant. Defensively there's a lot of work to do, but just as a personal preference for me, I'd decided to go on with the linebacker Jihad Campbell.
cool. I've got pretty much gone in the same win, just in a different position. I've gone with the interior defensive lineman Kenneth Grant from Michigan. I think that you could look at the current state of the Bengals defense, and that when you see needs, you just say defense. You don't need any specific position. They just need to start shoring up that line. And I feel like if you take another edge rusher here, especially with Hendrickson, it's sort of they could get pushed out on the run game. They need something to shore up the inside, and I feel like Kenneth Grant could really bring that wild card to the Bengals defensive line.
Cool. Right, moving on. 18. Seattle Seahawks at 18. So, I was kind of... I wasn't quite sure what to do here, but in the end, I have gone cornerback. So I believe this is my first cornerback off the board. And it was a toss-up between Will Johnson, who has been talked about a lot lately. The fact that, superstar apparently from Michigan, he didn't even do his pro day. A lot of people have been talking about the lack of speed that he has at the moment. So I've gone for Jahdae Barron out of Texas. He is a little bit on the light side. He's 5'11", 194 pounds, but he is ultra quick. I think he ran a 4.4 in the combine, I think. So you've got Devin Witherspoon on one side, and if you put Jahdae Barron on, he's a day one NFL starter for me. So I've gone with Jahdae Barron from Texas.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was a lot of... I wasn't sure what to do with the Seahawks either, to be honest with you. But in the end, I've gone for a different position. I believe you've mentioned his player already, David, in part 1 for the Falcons. I've gone for Donovan Ezuraku as number 18 for the Seahawks. I've picked Mike Green for the Falcons in the same position, so it was between them two for me. So, but yeah, I've gone with Donovan.
Yeah, I'm with Git on this one. Donovan Ezuraku. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I really think obviously I want to see more O-line in the league, but I really think if you're in this position and there are no decent tackles or guards on the board, trade back. There's plenty of good O-line talent later, not only later in the first round, but early second round when the guards and centers start to come off the board. Just trade back, get some extra capital under your belt, because they need to rebuild that offensive line if Sam Darnold wants any hope of succeeding in Seattle, if they're not planning on tanking already. So I think trading back, but obviously we can't do this here. So I'm gonna go with Donovan Aziraku, bring in another wild card on the defense, shore up that defensive line, and
Guys,
then go
if
from
I,
there.
sorry, Ioan, all of us have gone defense for Seattle. Would you be tempted? Do you think in any world that Seattle would go wide receiver here?
Possibly. I mean, they have a good core as it is. I mean, they've lost Lockett and Metcalf to free agency and
DK.
retirement, big DK, but they've still got Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I feel
Yes.
like that, especially with Luther Burden still being on my board, it was definitely something that was worth a shout. But I just think that I think edge rushers have put higher in value, and it being such a deep edge class this year, I think they won't want to pass that up in this position.
That was the only other position that crossed my mind, because I know they've got Cooper Cup on the other side as well, and I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think he's like a Swiss Army knife, and he's been. I think he had a really good season last year, even behind, like you said, Tyler Lockett and and DK as well. So I think he's definitely going to be the number one wide receiver one there. So yeah, I guess you could potentially wait for round 2 or 3 and grab a wide receiver as well to be their wide receiver 3. Okay, pick 19 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is probably one of my favourite picks. If he's still on the board, I kind of like this pick. So I've picked Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. I believe this is my first safety off the board as well. I just think putting him alongside Anton Winfield Jr., probably, if not the best safety, top 3 safety in the league for me. Nick Emenwari is a well, it says here he's a bit more like he's a bit of an athletical freak. He's a bigger body. He's basically built like a linebacker, 6'3", 220. He's a massive thumper. So if you've got Anton Winfield Jr. and this guy in the centre of the field, I think, and I trust Todd Bowles to make wonders with it as well. So I thought that was an easy slot in there for me.
Yeah. I was really close to go for a safety on this one, but for some reason, at the time of doing this mock, I ended up going for another edge rusher. But after doing it, I couldn't change it, so I've stuck with my choice, an edge rusher. I've gone with James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. I was in between James Pierce Jr. and Malachi Starks as a safety, but
Yeah.
for this mock draft, for this pick, I've personally gone for an edge rusher.
Cool. I'm gonna pick someone that's already off you guys' board, but hopefully there's a potential he might fall down this far. But I'm saying Jihad Campbell is going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They haven't really found their future off-ball linebacker yet, and Jihad Campbell is a lot more of an off-ball linebacker than edge rusher, even though he has taken some snaps at the edge at the collegiate level. Like Levante David is re-signed. Obviously, he's the I think he's the. I don't know how you word it. He is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense and has been for the past decade. And having him back is obviously a massive asset. But since then, they haven't really found their heir apparent. Obviously, you had that one All-Pro season from what was his name? He played for the Eagles. Devin White. Yeah, Devin White. There we go. Devin White. We all thought he was the future. We all thought he would pass the torch and continue that sort of that sort of trajectory. But obviously that wasn't meant to be. So I think they take Jihad Campbell, give him a year under Levante David at linebacker 2, and then give him the torch if everything works out. Give him the torch to carry on, because with Yaya Diaby having a breakout season, I don't see them going edge rusher at this position.
Cool. I can see that as well. Okay, moving along to pick number 20, the Denver Broncos, who had a sneaky, really quick rebuild, and I think they're building really nicely over there. Added a lot of weapons during free agency. However, the one area that they didn't sign, and I was kind of surprised, or maybe they're saving for the draft. This is my second running back coming off the board, so I'm going to go with Omarion Hampton out of North Carolina. I think they need. I think in his second year, Bo Nix is going to be targeted a little bit more. So this is a perfect running back to take a little bit of gas off him, I think. He scored 17 touchdowns for North Carolina. And I potentially think he's the second behind. Obviously, Ashton Genty is in a league of its own in terms of the running backs in this draft. I think just a tad he's the second best running back. So I've picked Omarion Hampton.
I agree. I've also gone for Marlon Hampton as well, Dyfed. Their running game last season wasn't the best. Obviously, they made the playoffs sneakily, and deservedly so. Bo Nix is a great quarterback. I think he just needs that little bit of weapon on the running back. So, I've gone for Marlon Hampton as well. I think that would be a pick for them.
Yeah, make that 3, Omarion Hampton.
Cool.
Take pressure off Bo Nix. They've got an entire season's worth of film now that they can break down lots of weaknesses in his game, and the sophomore slump is very real with quarterbacks, as we saw with CJ Stroud this year. So taking any sort of pressure that you can off Bo Nix is probably for the best in terms of the future for their offense.
I blanked. Who's currently running back 1 in Denver? Is it still Javonte?
Yeah, I think it's still Guto Williams.
Okay.
So
yeah, they need a different dynamic there. I think, although he's a talented guy, he's injured quite often, isn't he?
Well, the thing is that the running back duos are becoming back in fashion recently, especially up in Detroit, where you have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles. So I don't think it would hurt having a carousel between Omarion Hampton and Javonte Williams, because when Javonte Williams isn't a bad running back by any means, but I don't think he's quite capable enough to be as the sort of the figure that similar to a Derrick Henry, to a Saquon Barkley, to a McCaffrey, who can put an entire running game on his back and drag his team forward. So I feel like a running back by committee would probably be the best spot for the Broncos this season.
Okay, so we come to pick 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Gitto's going to be very, very happy. I think this is where Shadur comes off the board. Let's put it this way. Regardless of where Aaron Rodgers is going to go, I think it's more, the needle is further towards that he is going to go to the Steelers than he is going to retire at the moment. However, I think that if you think about it, the perfect place, I know this, I hope this is what happens. If he does land in Pittsburgh, he'll probably redshirt his first season at least. And who better to be able to deal with the persona of Shadur Sanders and Deion Sanders, and has proven that he's done that in the past with individuals like Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, is Mike Tomlin. Arthur Smith is still there. Like I said, if he redshirts a season, sits behind Rodgers, and he's got a reliable Kyle Rudolph as well, who's been there for many, many seasons with Pittsburgh. I think it's a no-brainer for me, and I can't think of any other team that would trade up in front of the Steelers to get a QB. Personally, anyway.
Yeah, me too. I've obviously mentioned Shadur Sanders already in part 1, so I have gone for a quarterback in this one as well. I've heard rumours that this particular player can run just as fast, if not faster, than Lamar Jackson. So okay. I've heard some high praises on this one. I've gone for Jalen Milroe as pick 21 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, it is still a confusing situation as to what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, if he's going to stay, or if he's going to go to the Steelers, or if he'll end up going somewhere else, or if he's going to retire. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think they'll need a future quarterback anyway, and I think this is the pick to do it. I think they've got, and I think Jalen Milroe will go to the Steelers definitely on this one. So
good shout.
Yeah, it's sort of a difficult one here for me. I had no idea where to go with this one, because the giant QB-sized hole wants me to say QB, but the problem is with me, I don't see any QB that comes off the board succeeding Like that situation is just not healthy for a quarterback
Yeah.
that's not touted that high. So I would say they're going to wait until the later rounds to pick up a project. They're going to sit with a veteran. I don't know who's left in terms of free agency or who they could take, but possibly a Jackson Dart or I don't. Not to say I don't hate the pick, Guto, but I don't see Jalen Miro going in the first round personally. So I'm going to say they're going to play it safe and they're going to draft Josh Simmons, tackle out of Ohio State, sure of the offensive line, just sort of sit back, play it, because whatever is the situation you end up, whether you're in a veteran or whether you've got a young quarterback, you're always going to need more line help, and I think that's the play. That's the play for them.
Yeah. I'm trying to rattle my brains. Who are the veteran QBs are still out there on the board? Really, I think you've got. I think is Jimmy G still up there? No, he's still back in. I think he's back with the Rams, isn't he?
I believe
He's the
so.
Rams backup now.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
I genuinely can't think of any. I can't think of a starting caliber QB that can slot into any single scheme and can start. Actually, do you know what? The only one that I could put up there, although he didn't play last year as well, is kind of like a forgotten man. Do you reckon Ryan Tannehill would come back because he hasn't retired?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
To be honest.
It's whether he thinks that he'll succeed in that situation, because as much as the Steelers, I think the Steelers are very hit or miss in the sense that obviously they have a great coaching staff. Like Mike Tomlin, has done wonders somehow getting winning records out of Mason Rudolph.
I know.
So some like ridiculous stuff like that. But I'm just double checking now, because is Carson Wentz still on the Chiefs? Is he still their backup?
No, I think Gardner Minshew is the next backup there. I think.
Well, as much as Wentz hasn't been a starting caliber player in a while, he's certainly a sort of higher end starting QB now that the Flaccos and the Kenny Pickett's are all signed. So if Wentz is again, this is just off Google, so
yeah. I just thought in terms of Ryan Tannehill, I just thought the Arthur Smith connection when he was with Tennessee and when all of a sudden he just kind of usurped Marcus Mariota and took the Titans to the AFC Championship game.
Apologies, no, Wentz retired.
Has he? Carson Wentz is retired.
Oh wait, never mind. That's an April Fool's article.
Oh,
Great. Oh, that's fantastic. That's definitely not embarrassing, is it?
Should we end up today?
Oh dear.
I mean, bless his heart. I mean, he's never going to start in the NFL ever again, is he? Let's be honest with it. But what a fall from grace, Carson Wentz. But there we are.
Carson Wentz or me?
Yeah. Well, no, not you. No. Yeah, it's just kind of
The only other noise I've had is...
Huh?
the only other noise I can hear, I've been reading. There's no uncertainty with Kirk Cousins. I'm bringing it up as a Falcons fan. There's no uncertainty as to where he's going, if someone's going to trade up for him or not. I don't see him go to the Steelers. Don't get me wrong, but that's another quarterback. But obviously they're leaning towards Penix being a starter next season. Kirk Cousins wants to be a starter, so there's still a lot of uncertainty. And
do you know what? That's a heck of a shout. The only thing I'd say about that, Guto, the problem is with Kirk Cousins is who's going to pick up that contract.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only issue.
The Falcons have signed a quarterback just a day or two ago. Easton Stick, he used to be for the Chargers.
Yeah.
So he signed for the Falcons. I'm not sure for how long. I've not taken much notice in the contract, but yeah, that's the other name that pops up to my head. Anything can happen with that one as well.
Nice, love that. That's class.
Cool.
I think you've started like a whirlpool there, Guto. I like that. That's really, really cool. Okay, right. Where are we? 22. The LA Chargers. This was easy for me. I have gone. Well, Harbaugh. If we think about a John Harbaugh offense, you're punch in the mouth. We're going to run it down your throat. They tried to do that last year. They didn't really have success with it because they didn't have the O-line, and more specifically, they didn't have the tight end or the running back. So I've gone with Colston Loveland out of Michigan here, because I just think that as in he can catch the ball, but more than that, he's 250 pounds, so he's clearly a really really reliable blocker as well. And another option for Justin Herbert, because I think they are definitely gonna turn into one of the smash mouth franchises in the NFL, or that's what they're starting to do anyway.
Yeah, I do like that pick. I've personally gone with Constance Liverlander, pick 14 for the Colts, but I do like a pick there, I really do. I've gone for a wide receiver on this one, Emeka Egbuka. I've gone for.
Yeah.
I think they need to bolster up their wide receiver room just a little bit. They've got Mike Williams, Lad McConkey, but I just think they need just a little bit extra on there. So,
Mike Williams has gone back to the Chargers, hasn't he?
I believe so, yeah. So, but that's my pick, Emeka Egbuka. I think that's how you pronounce it. I apologise.
Yeah. I've gone the same sort of wavelength as Guto, but Luther Burden is still on my board, so I say that Luther Burden falls and lands in San Diego. Mike Williams is made of glass. He hasn't been productive at any point during the last few years. I don't see him. I could very well see him like becoming a journeyman wide receiver in the fourth, fifth spots on rosters to come. If his price tag is so expensive, so I think get Lad McConkey some help, because Quentin Johnston he's just not we've given enough chances. We've watched all the memes and the highlights, and that's just not healthy for your offense.
They lost Josh Palmer to the Bills as well. He's gone, so they badly need some help there.
I think they just need to do what Eagles did with Jalen Reagor and just let it go.
Yes.
Let it be something funny that your GM did during that looks obvious in hindsight, and just move on. Draft Luther Burden if he's still there, and then move on.
The only draft bust that I can think that Howie has come across in the last 5 years, if I can remember.
Honestly, I don't think it'd be that bad if Justin Jefferson wasn't picked straight after him.
True. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pick, sorry, yours. Who was he picking against? It
was Luther Burden the third.
Luther Burden the third.
He's still on my board at this point.
Nice. Cool. 23. Green Bay Packers. Again, this was an easy pick for me. Although they've got some decent wide receivers, they can't seem to either stay healthy, or I feel like they just need a bigger body type. So I've gone for McMillan, Tetairoa McMillan from Arizona. He's still on my board, so I thought that was a no-brainer for. I don't know. He's kind of like he's got a sure hardiness. I think in terms of he's a really really solid catcher. Something desperately needed, I think, in the Packers receiving corps. So I've gone with McMillan.
I agree. McMillan is a great player. I had him at number 5 for the Jaguars. So I have also gone for a wide receiver for the Packers. I've gone for Jaden Higgins from Iowa State.
Nice. This is potentially the first pick where like a few running jokes come into play, because I've never seen Green Bay take a wide receiver this early in the draft, and I believe they will continue not to do so, even though it's desperately and sort of waving in their face that they need help. So I say they draft Michael Williams, get someone else on the edge. Rashawn Gary, he's definitely a top to a higher end edge rusher in the NFL, but I wouldn't say he's elite. So I'd argue that it may be worth looking at to get him some help on that D line, get him some ports, and I think that'd be a deadly duo if it were to come to pass.
Nice, cool. This was good pace going on here. So 24, Minnesota Vikings. Again. I struggle with this one, but in the end, I've gone defense, and I've just thought, because they've lost Cam Bynum, and although they've re-signed Harrison Smith for what is it? What I think he's got year 14, year 15. It's incredible that he's still playing and on such a high level, really. But he's probably going to be on a snap count. So I've gone with Malachi Starks here from Georgia. High football IQ, apparently. Like I said, you could switch Starks and who was the other one? Emin Wari, the one that I went for Tampa Bay at 19. I just thought Malachi Starks has played cornerback as well at Georgia, but he's more kind of like of a hybrid. And I think he'd fit really, really well in Brian Flores' system. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've gone for Malachi Starks in this one as well. I think they need a safety. So, yeah, this is my pick as well, David. Malachi Starks.
I've gone defense again, but I've sort of gone on the opposite end. I think the Minnesota have lacked a very big name in the middle of the defensive line for a very long time. So I'm predicting that Walter Nolan will fall to 25, or was it 24, and be drafted out of, where is he from? Sorry, Ole Miss. Good Ole Miss, teammate of Jackson Dart. They've been sorely missing a big presence in the middle of their defensive line, and I think that's just the biggest need they have on their defense at the moment. A bit more. I know Harrison Smith is a little bit of a concern, especially with Cam Bynum gone, but
Yeah.
I don't think you can pass him up if he's still there on the board.
Fair. The only sorry, just before we move on, the only other position that I thought for Minnesota here, before quickly kind of like going over to the defense, running back was the only other one that I kind of thought of potentially. But with the top two coming off the board, I couldn't really see them taking a third running back in the first round. So that's why I went safe and went with defense. Okay, Houston Texans 25. Excuse me. I have gone for Tyler Booker out of Alabama, inside linebacker. I think this would be like a dream scenario if he would fall this far. I think, although he is. I think personally he's day one ready, and he'd slot really, really nicely into that defense. I didn't really want to go. The only other place I like it. They badly need linemen basically. But at this point, I can't really kind of think of anyone else. So yeah, I've gone Tyler Booker.
Cool. Looking at this mock that I've done, I might have gone a little bit overboard on wide receivers in this one, so I've gone for another one. But this is the last one I've got on this mock, on the round one anyway. I've gone with Alec Ioan. I just think, obviously they've got Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, Tank Dell as well, but I just think they need something a little bit extra. So that's why I've gone with Alec Ioan as a wide receiver from Stanford.
Cool. I'm with Guto. To be honest, I'm not totally happy with this pick, and to be honest, I'd trade back if I were the Houston Texans, because Gray Zabel is very much the tackle from NDSU, is very much present in that back end last three picks, and he's a very good prospect and probably a good value for that far back. But if we're in a world where trades don't exist, I say they go with Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. He's fallen quite far, and obviously they've got all the wide receiver help they still have. But I still think that there's a Stephon Diggs size hole that needs filling at the Texans, and I don't think it would hurt to give CJ Stroud another weapon, even though he may not have any time to throw the ball as a result.
Okay, 26, LA Rams. This is another one that I kind of like stirred the pot here. I don't see the Rams personally doing this. However, I've gone with the notion of the trade rumours around Matthew Stafford over the off-season. So I've gone with Jackson Dart here. Again, I don't see the Rams picking a QB in the first round. I think personally it would make sense for them to, especially looking towards, the next couple of seasons. And the problem is as well, they won't be drafting in the top 5 anytime soon. Let's be honest, the Rams. So if they are going to target a quarterback in the next, I don't see a massive drop off basically anytime soon. So unless they want to draft it, unless they want to kind of pile picks and jump to the top 10, I think Jackson Dart, he's fallen this far. I don't think he's NFL ready at the moment, but give him 2 years potentially to develop. I think it's quite nice to have him in your QB room just in case.
Interesting pick. Okay, cool. I've gone for a tackle from Iowa State on this one. I've gone with Josh Simmons for the Rams. I just think they need to upgrade their position a little bit. I think one of you has already mentioned Josh Simmons higher up, so this is where I pick Josh Simmons. Although thinking about it now, though, I don't quite disagree with you that they should go for a quarterback here now. And obviously they're not going to fall off to top 5, maybe top 10 anytime soon. Yeah. So it's a good pick. I do like it. But for me on this one, 26, Josh Simmons, Iowa State.
Cool. With my board, Costin Loveland is still on the board, and I see this is where he lands. Tyler Higbee has been the long time figure in LA, but his production has really fallen off, and I feel like with the exit of Cooper Kupp, they're going to be looking for their another offensive weapon to give Matt Stafford. This is in a rumorless world of Matt Stafford Stafford trade rumors. But with Jackson Dart, I feel like you need. I wouldn't. It is a good pick because he needs time in the oven, because he has the lowest floor but also the highest ceiling, I would argue, in this draft, maybe outside of Shador. But I feel like if you want to make the safe pick, and if he is still there, I think Austin Loveland would make a lovely pick and a real asset to the LA Rams as they continue forward, trying to fill that Cooper Kupp-sized hole.
Yeah, good shout, because the Rams, like I said, even though they've got Puka Nacua and Devontae on the boundaries, they haven't really kind of utilised the tight end. And like you said, I could definitely see that pick, especially if he falls this far. Absolutely, it's an absolute no-brainer. I was just thinking, like you said, it is a pick for the future. It's not a pick for now. Matt Stafford has got. I think Stafford has got plenty more in the tank wherever he lands. If he stays with the Rams or if he goes elsewhere, the fact that just in the divisional game at Philadelphia last year, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal.
He gave us our most difficult playoff game. I would argue that was the most nervous I got all throughout the playoffs. So they're not going to go anywhere. Sorry,
and him and Puka Nacua, they have a brilliant understanding together. I think they've got as a 1-2 shot, and I think Devontae Adams slots really, really well into that offense as well. I think the Rams are going to be, a really like a dark horse in the NFC next year. I think they're really, really good.
Yeah, the only hope is that he stays healthy, because we all know what Devontae Adams' opinions are of Jimmy Garoppolo, is that famous clip on Mic'd Up.
Yes, of course.
Seems to show. So all we can hope for is he stays healthy. But yeah, I did forget that Devontae gone there. I need to catch up on my NFL news clearly. But I have nothing to say really. I'm just watching.
Right. Cool, we're almost there. So we've reached the Ravens at pick 27. I've gone safe. I think this is a safe pick, whether they'll go down this route or not. I've gone with Josh Connolly out of Oregon State here. Listen, Ronnie Stanley, probably one of the best to play the position. How many seasons has he got left? I don't know. He's like, he's his tape apparently is really, really good. He's a giant man, 6'5", 311. Like I said, he could slot in there if needs be, because obviously Ronnie Stanley, when fit, is absolutely fantastic, but he tends to have the odd injury here or there. And I think he could slot into the starting line if needs be. So yeah, pretty safe pick here for me.
I've personally gone for a guard out of Georgia for this one. For the Ravens, I picked 27. I've gone for Tate Ratledge. So that's my pick for this one. I wasn't too sure on this one, to be quite honest with you. I kind of narrowed it down to where they wanted to improve the most, and this is where I've gone with Tate on this one.
For me, I think this is about to become a rush on the remaining edge rushers in the first round for me, but the first one off the ball, James Pierce Jr. falls this far down. I don't think he will in real life, but for me, I feel like you can't deny his talent this far down, and yeah, it would just bolster that defensive line.
Nice. Cool. Right, moving on. 28. The Detroit Lions. This is kind of weird for me. The Lions don't have a lot of needs. They've got a really, really strong roster. However, if you would pick anywhere, I thought I would go defense, and I've got defensive linemen. The fact that Kenneth Grant is still on my board is absolutely crazy for me. So I think it's a steal for them at 28. Especially because obviously we've got Aiden Hutchinson coming off a really, really bad injury as well. I just thought it would be nice for him to slot in there just for some backup.
Who was your pick, sorry, David?
Kenneth Grant out of Michigan.
Kenneth Grant. I've gone for an edge rusher in this one as well. Just thinking about Aiden Hutchinson with his injuries and everything. So he might come back stronger next season. You never know. But I think this would be just as a precaution pick for this one. I've gone for another edge rusher, Nick Gorton from Texas A&M.
Nice. I'm also going to go edge, but a different edge player. Shamar Stewart is still on the board here, so I think Shamar Stewart will be picked up here if he falls this far. Again, I don't think he will in real life, but this is where he's fallen on my draft board. Just it's some insurance on that Aiden Hutchinson pick. If Aiden Hutchinson returns to the form that he was in the pre-injury, brilliant. Everything's fine. Everything's great. But as we saw when he went down and they tried to sign a few pieces, it just wasn't the same. And I feel like if you can give some insurance on if that happens again, I think it's for the best. Like I thought with what the Eagles, again, I might be giving the Eagles too much credit here, but with the there's a potential that an attitude of there is never enough D-line. The more D-line that you have on your roster, the better that you'll do.
Yes.
So if that comes into fashion, I could definitely see that becoming a reality.
I wish the Dolphins would listen to your theory, Ioan, because currently we only have 2 defensive tackles on our roster, and that kind of says it all. And then we've got Chubb on one side who hasn't played for a whole season, and we've got Jalen Phillips, who is a ridiculously talented guy, but coming off an Achilles and a torn ACL as well. And we still haven't gone and got someone from. Let's just leave the Dolphins in the past.
If you run a 3 front, you'll be all right.
Yeah, of course. We've got Zach Sealer, man. We've got the beast. But there we are. Anyway, okay. So 29. Washington. Okay. Again, they don't have many needs. I was tempted to go defense here. However, I have gone wide receiver. I know that they're loaded. They've just got Debo. They've got one of my favourite wide receivers, Terry McLaurin. I've given them kind of like a different one. I've gone for Egbuka here, actually, Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State. I think he's a reliable number 2 if he needs be. It doesn't need to be like a Terry McLaurin. Where is Debo going to slot in this offense? I don't know. Is he going to be used as a hybrid like they did in San Francisco? I doubt it, because they've got a decent running game there as well. Excuse me. So, plus the other thing the reason that I did this pick as well, he's probably one of the best run blocking receivers in the draft as well. So yeah, Emeka Egbuka for me.
It's another edge rusher for me. For the Washington, yours, as already mentioned, his name just moments ago. For me, this is where Shamar Stewart is going to land on the first round with the Washington Commanders.
Okay. For me, I'm going in a slightly different direction. They've lost a few key pieces in their secondary to free agency, with St. Just moving on among others. Bring in some support for Marshall Lattimore, who's getting on to getting a bit long in the tooth for a quarterback at least. And given he's still on the board, I feel like it'd be a mistake if he wasn't taken here. So I'm saying that Nick Emanwari is taken off the board here for the Washington Commanders to shore up that safety spot. Nice. With his physical nature. And obviously, you having drafted as highly as Tampa Bay, which again is a great fit next to Antoine Winfield. But if he were to fall down this far, I don't see any reason why this couldn't be a slam dunk for them. And maybe the opposite of what I was echoing a few podcasts ago, make me a little bit worried, as opposed to not worried at all.
Nice, cool. We're down to our last 3 then. So pick number 30, the Buffalo Bills. I've gone for cornerback here. they had Rasul Douglas on one side, and like I noticed recently that the Bills have re-signed Tre'Davious White to a 1-year deal. He can't seem to when he, like I said, in his heyday he was very very good, but since his injury he hasn't been the same, and they need to fill that second spot. So I've gone with Maxwell Haston from Kentucky here. Not the biggest body, 5'11", 183 pounds, but he's one of the fastest ones. He's a burner apparently, and you know you've got a lot of speed in the AFC. Especially if Tyreek stays with the Dolphins. I thought this was a glaring need for the Bills. So yeah, I've gone with Maxwell Haston.
Cool, bro. I wasn't sure what to do on this one. I've just gone for what I think they need to improve in terms of position and that. So this might be a bit of a not the greatest pick I've done, but I've gone with a defensive player from Michigan on this one. I've gone with Mason Graham. But at the point of doing this mock now, I've seen that Mason Graham might be higher up on the list, so who knows? But this is where I've got Mason Graham land on my mock. So.
I will echo David's shouts and say that Trey Amos from Ole Miss lands at Bills. Tre'Davious White isn't going to be a sustainable pick for the future. I think he's a character signing more than anything else. Bring some of that good culture back to Bills after a season with the Ravens in Baltimore. And unfortunately, with Mason Graham gone 25 picks ago, I
was going to say, if he falls that there. Low, that's an absolute steal right there.
That would make Jalen Carter's fall look like a regular pick. So not to call his ignorance, not to throw you under the bus, Guto, by any means.
Not at all.
But I would love to see that, because that sort of drama is what makes the draft what it is, and I would especially this late in the night where it's a very good chance that you yourself and Dyfed may be in bed while I wait eagerly for my team's pick. It would be something great to see and something to make sure that I stay up.
Nice, and. And listen, you know, as much as I think the Shadeur is going to stay until 21, we kind of all know that someone's going to jump ahead and grab him before 21. I reckon, unless some crazy ass video of him, I don't know, smoking a bong comes out between now and Friday. You know, anything can happen. You know, we've seen that. Do you know that? Do you know what? That's one of the best videos online. That happened to Larry Tunsil.
Yeah, Larry Tunsil with the gas mask.
He fell for the Dolphins' laps. And he turned into a Pro Bowler, and I absolutely love it.
And then you trade him away. And then you trade him away for pennies to the Texans.
Yes,
as the Dolphins' way.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, cool. Let's finish this off. So we've got the Kansas City Chiefs at 31. I love this pick. If he's still on the board, this is a very Kansas City pick for me. I've gone with Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. A lot has been said about Will Johnson, his lack of speed, his lack of pro day activity, whatever. His 2023 tape was absolutely incredible. His 2024 wasn't great. And I just think if he's tumbling down, I just see the Chiefs kind of like just turn him into like a Pro Bowler, like they did with McDuffie. I don't think he's as talented as McDuffie as a first rounder, but I think him and McDuffie would do very, very well on the boundary there for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs can make anyone superstars, to be honest with you. I've personally gone for a tackle on this one. I've gone with Gray Zabel on this one. So there was a couple of options on this one as well. But in the end, Gray Zabel, he kind of like screamed to me. So this is why I went for the Gray Zabel and the Chiefs.
Yeah, you sort of killed the sort of big intro that I was about to give Gray Zabel.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Guto in this one. With the departure of Joe Tooney and the obvious need for tackles, Juwan Taylor is just not the one, unfortunately. I think Gray Zabel has the biggest potential in this draft to become the steal of the draft, and unfortunately, again, it falls to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think there is a massive school bias when it comes to the school that he's gone to. Obviously, going from North Dakota State, a school that does not face the
yes.
cream of the crop. in terms of college competition. But the tape speaks for itself. If he can produce the way he does on the field in the NFL that he does in college, I think he'll be the steal of the draft and will shore up that offensive line for a decade plus with Trey Smith. And it's something I really don't want to see because, everyone hates the Chiefs.
Of course. I don't know what it is about North Dakota State. They always seem to kind of produce incredible linemen. I don't know what it is.
It's not even linemen. It's the offensive pieces that they've been able to produce, like the guys like Dallas Goedert, Carson Wentz. Even though especially Wentz, like didn't have the longest longevity once people figured him out. But it's just a powerhouse. They win their national championship in terms of their divisions every single year. Consistently. At least of what I can remember. Unfortunately, the world of college football is unfortunately so big I can't keep up everywhere. But
was Jordan Love North Dakota State as well?
I'll give that a quick.
Oh, Google. I can't. I might be completely wrong.
I think you are on some. There was another QB that
I thought it was him.
He was Utah State, North Dakota.
Oh, fair.
But
okay.
there is a quarterback, and it's falling on me who it is.
Carson Wentz, Trey Lance, Easton Stick.
Trey Lance, which is unfortunately not the best example.
No.
But on collegiately, in their divisions, North Dakota State is a powerhouse despite their lackluster opposition. I think the bias shown will make people regret not taking Grey Zabel earlier.
Yeah, good shout. Okay, so we finally get to the last pick of the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles, for me, Ioan, fills a need. I've gone D lineman here. I've gone with, Walter Nolan is still on my draft, so on my board. So I think he fits in quite nicely to negotiate Milton Williams' loss. I think he's really, really good in the run game, and he's got a lot of potential as a pass rusher. Even though, and he's not the biggest guy. He's 290, so he's quite nimble as well. I just thought, if anyone can turn D linemen into stars, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. So Walter Nolan was an easy pick for me.
Yours, would you be happy with an edge rusher?
No, yeah, I would be.
Cool.
I would be, yes.
That's what you're getting. I've gone for Michael Williams, edge rusher from Georgia. I think you've already mentioned him earlier on.
Yeah. I'll be dancing. I'll be dancing at 5 o'clock in the morning if Michael Williams falls that far. To be completely honest with you. For me, so it's the end of the night. Guto and Dyfed are probably asleep, and this is probably, I don't see him falling this far, but it'd be a dream to do. Historically, on record on this podcast, I've said that the safety position is something that we do not need to be concerned about with Sidney Brown, but I think there's no harm in taking him if he's still on the board, and I think the next Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagle will be Malachi Starks out of Georgia. He fills that CJ/GJ sized hole quite nicely. We don't have to risk it. And to be honest, I don't see us staying in that position with the sheer amount of mid-round picks that we have. I can see us making some sort of package to push ourselves further into the first round. And if the situation deems itself right, looking at D-line, I was tempted to take a D-lineman here. But with Maro Jomo coming out to see, and he's still the third D tackle that we have on our roster, I can definitely see we can find more value in the later picks if we don't trade them away. That is. So Malachi Starks again. It's a rogue one. We don't know if he's still going to be there because obviously, as you said, Nick Emenwari and him are pretty much interchangeable on a lot of draft boards. But I would love to see him come to the Philadelphia Eagles and play in that very young secondary that's developing for us.
Class. Well, there we are. We've finished the 32 picks. Just on the Eagles, Ioan, before I forget, have you heard on the rumour mill, this is probably rubbish, but I saw something out there over a couple of days ago that there is a rumor out there that the Eagles and the Dolphins are thinking about trading. Wait for this. Devontae Smith for Jalen Ramsey and a third-round pick.
What I say to that is why?
Exactly.
Why? Look, it's the cornerback 2 is probably the most contentious place on the Eagles roster at the moment, trying to figure out who will be on the other side of Quinion Mitchell next season, with Vic Fangio's desire to keep Cooper DeJean in the core. But is he 30 plus, something like that?
He's 30, but he's still playing at a ridiculously high level. And he's never injured.
Yeah, no, that
and he's not a diva at all.
You just really want Devontae Smith, don't you?
No, I don't. No.
He's really trying to sell
it. Listen, I wanted the Dolphins to pick Devontae Smith before they picked Jalen Waddle. If I'm honest with you, I wanted them to pick frickin' Jamar Chase before they picked Jalen Waddle. But there we are. That's another thing. But yeah. Listen, I don't know. I don't see it happening. Like, and then people are saying like, Ramsey he's going to stay, but he's just going to kick up a fuss and things like that. So I just thought that I'd throw something out there just to kind of see how the waters were over at your side.
Admittedly, even though it is a good sell, contrary to popular belief, I do not have a direct line to Harry Roseman, as much as that would be a nice thing for me to own.
That does shock me,
yeah, but look, it's the draft. Anything can happen. I've seen some ridiculous takes that we trade AJ Brown to get a top 5 pick to go after Abdul Carter, which would be a dream scenario. That ended up in a few news articles off a supposed tweet that of somewhere in the rumor mill, and it would probably be a very ideal pick. Hometown boy come into his favourite team on already vaunted D-line. But I think that would be a king's ransom that would need to be given up, and I think New England are the only people that would probably take that level. Like, I don't want to say this, but like, there's absolutely no world I can see that happening. Unfortunately, as much as it'd be nice to see, but I don't. How he needs to, if he's even thinking about doing that, please don't. I'm just going to let you deal with that whole situation over there with your drama queens and your lack of D-line while we go get.
Yeah, and our domestic problems over here as well, and a little bit of everything. I'm
just going to go back to fighting for our Super Bowls in peace while you try and get your first. What was it? How long has it been? I think you got the longest streak of no playoff wins in the NFL.
All right. Yes. Now,
show there, ladies and gentlemen.
So now that Detroit. So it was Detroit, and now it's the Dolphins. So it's coming up to 20 years since we won a playoff game.
How have you not won? How have the Jets won more recently than you have?
Dude,
that's honestly quite impressive.
Listen, I know. Tell me about it. I know. I've been screaming from the rooftops. Honestly, it's rough. And then poor Guto is just hoping for just a normal draft with no drama.
Just nice, simple draft. That's all I'm asking for. No big surprises, no controversy, nothing. Just a simple, lovely, relaxing draft.
I've got money on Cam Scatterby going to the Falcons. Watch it now.
Really?
not actually, but it would be something hilarious to see.
Does anyone here have like another surprise for maybe the later rounds? Do you guys think there will be a little surprise or anything of the ordinary? The only thing I can think of, because I was stuck on this on part 1, I mentioned it, the New Orleans Saints. You've already mentioned Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart's going to go to the Saints in round 2.
In round 2,
I think so. I've gone with wide receiver Luther Burden as round 1. But
where did they? Oh, okay, they pick 40th in round 2. If he wasn't there, say now if Milroe and Jackson Dart are still on the board, who would you take?
Quinn Ewers.
Okay.
Dart's personally for the Saints. I'd go with that.
Okay. I would probably go Milrow because he gives you a different dynamic that you haven't had
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
in
Miller
New
is
Orleans
isn't
for a
he?
while.
Yeah. I've got Milrow for the Steelers, haven't I? Yeah. Some might say he might be the next Lamar Jackson. So who knows?
I don't know.
Mm.
In terms of shock, like, um, no, not really. The only guy that I've seen, excuse me, that might. Well, I don't know. I've heard that Luther Burden the third is going to tumble out of the first round,
Wow.
and he might fall to early second. And you've got someone like the New England Patriots picking at 38, and that would be an absolute steal for them because obviously they need more receiver help
Yeah.
outside of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
The only other one that I've seen is, and I'd love the Dolphins to go after him. I don't think just because of a personal kind of connection. So Jason Taylor, do you remember Jason Taylor? Defensive tackle. Well, he's in the Hall of Fame now. Anyway, his son Mason Taylor, he is a tight end from LSU. He's supposed to be like fourth/third best tight end in the class. Some say that he might go end of first round as well. I don't think. I think he'll probably go early second. If we can grab him, fantastic. If not, I can see someone like, I know you've got Guto, you've got a tight end going for the Colts first round, haven't you? I think.
Tight and Colton Loveland to the Colts. I've got in the first round.
Yeah,
Yes.
Colton Loveland. Yeah. So you know, if the Colts want to go different in round one, they could potentially go Taylor there because they pick early second round, 45. Mason Taylor. I think he's a really well-rounded tight end. He can catch. He's big. He can block. I just thought that it was quite nice because of the family connection. But yeah, the Dolphins.
Yeah,
will go for him.
it's something that's become a little bit more popular over the last few years in the draft. So you see, like Joey Porter Jr. has definitely become a household name on the Steelers. They took a chance on him in the first round, and it paid off. Did pay dividends massively. And obviously Jeremiah Trotter Jr. maybe is not as impactful because he went in, I want to say, the fourth round, but has fell into the Eagles.
Yes.
So it's definitely something that you can't count out. So for those, because those familial connections definitely seem to help those draft picks in terms of the familiarity and the connections that they do provide. But the only question mark I want to see someone take a chance in Cam Scatterboo, because I think he's an enigma in this draft where he is a sort of pure old-fashioned, I'm going to crash into you as hard as I can type running back. And while I don't believe that's very sustainable at the NFL level, and you need another part of that game, especially in a complex NFL offense where backs need to be able to catch, if he can land somewhere on like a second or a third running back, where they can just bring him in on short yardage situations, I would love to see a team take a chance on him. And there's a spot opened up on the Eagles with Kenneth Gainwell leaving, and if we can pick him up on the later rounds and that isn't an expense and doesn't make Howie look stupid, I would love to see him, because I feel like that hard running attitude really fits in with that sort of Eagles culture.
Guys, I'm not sure. Just before we leave you, sorry. Thanks for your time here. Just before I leave you, another thing that another guy that keeps popping up in my mind as well. Not sure if you spotted him if you guys have watched any Cam Ward tape. Miami Hurricanes wide receiver, Xavier Restrepo. Have you heard of him? I think he's quite handy as well. He could probably go. You could potentially get him in the late second, third round. I think he's quite handy as well, if I'm honest with you, as a slot receiver. But he got a ton of yards with Cam Ward, and he's got some amazing splash plays on his tape as well. I thought he hasn't been talked about as a top 5 prospect at all in terms of the wide receiver room, but I think he'd be an absolute steal if he falls in the second or even the third round. I think he's definitely worth taking a shout on him. So that's a name to look out for me anyway. Xavier Restrepo. Cool. Anything else before we wrap this up?
I'm just excited to get it going now. We've talked about
Me
it
too.
enough.
I know.
We've watched the combines. It's the one bit of football that we get before the start of the season, the start of pre-season. I'm just ready to go, and I'm ready to laugh at some teams. I'm ready to be shocked. I'm ready for all of it really, and it's one of my favorite times of the season. And
Yes.
see how it takes shape. It's a new season, guys. As much as I want to stay in the old one,
I know.
we're starting the roller coaster all over again.
Yeah, yeah. The players. Well, for the Dolphins, the players were actually in the building for the first time on yesterday. So yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's getting real. Shit's getting real. So there we are. Ioan, thank you so much for your time, pal. We'll definitely get you back for the post-draft relook to kind of like recap to see if you're happy yourself, and if the Eagles do decide to kind of like make a crazy leap, that would be even better as well. And Guto, I hope for your sake that your blood pressure will stay a little bit low and you won't need to kind of worry about some crazy happenings in Atlanta as well. I'm sure they will. I mean, I'm sure they've done their splash, and I'm surely they're gonna go sensible draft, heavy defense. Who knows?
That's the plan, I believe. Yeah, I think that's how they should do it. Go defense heavy. Just go. Yeah, just normal. That's all I'm asking for. I want a nice sleep and wake up in the morning before my early flight. I'm off to Milan this weekend, so
Oh
I'd
yeah,
like a nice
Nice for
little.
some.
very
I'd like
nice.
I'd like to wake up in the morning stress free, knowing we've done pretty well in round one. So that's all I'm
Nice.
asking for.
Class. Well, there we are, guys. Well, enjoy the draft, whether you're at home, in bed, or on a plane on the way to Italy. That'll be fantastic. Anyway, yeah, hope you get what you want, what you wish for. Usually never happens in the world of the NFL, but there we are. Yeah, if you guys are watching your first draft, enjoy it. It's a fantastic experience. And if you're going to stay up as well, yeah, fantastic. And I know Ioan is going to be, Ioan's going to be on a heavy caffeinated day, the day after him being pick 32. So, but yeah, if they land a steal, I'm sure you'll be happy whatever happens. Anyway, fantastic, guys. Diolch yn fawr iawn for your time. We've done 2 1-hour specials on Draft 1 Part 1 and Draft Part 2 as well. So, hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you either over the weekend or early next week for a post-draft recap. Diolch yn fawr iawn. See you then.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Nice one.